You ever get that weird gut feeling like something's off, but you can't explain it? That's exactly how my day started. The thumbnail probably gave it away. Yeah, I caught my husband cheating with our neighbor. But trust me, what I did next, you won't see that coming. My name's Lena, and honestly, I thought I had the perfect marriage. 5 years with Ethan, a man everyone said was too good to be true. Turns out, they were right. He really was too good to be true. It started with little things. Late night work calls, the sudden habit of taking extra showers, and that fake smile whenever our neighbor Claire waved at me. She was always around, borrowing sugar, asking for tools, pretending to be sweet. But that morning, I knew. Ethan's car was in the driveway, even though he'd told me he had an early meeting. I walked past the kitchen, quiet. Then I heard something, a faint laugh, coming from the storage room behind the house. My heart dropped. I grabbed my phone, recording just in case, and crept closer. The sound of whispering, and then her giggle, Claire's voice. When I pushed the door, it didn't budge, locked. But through the tiny side window, I saw shadows. His shirt, her hair, my world froze. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just smiled. You see, I'd been planning for this moment ever since that gut feeling started. I quietly slipped the outer latch shut, trapping them both inside. Then I turned off the main power switch. Total darkness. And that's when I made the call. Not to Ethan, not to Claire, but to Mark, Claire's husband. "Hey, Mark," I said, trying not to laugh. "Something's wrong in your storage room. Can you come check? I think there's a short circuit." I hung up, and for the first time in weeks, I felt calm. The storm was about to begin. If you're enjoying this story, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss what happens next. Trust me, it only gets crazier. Mark showed up faster than I expected. Guess curiosity travels quicker than guilt. From the window, I watched his truck pull up, headlights slicing through the dull morning fog. He looked confused, scratching his head like he couldn't figure out why the power was out. My heart was racing, but my face, calm, ice cold. I walked out slowly, pretending to be surprised. "Oh, hey, Mark. You came fast," I said, wrapping my cardigan tighter. "I think your power tripped or something. I heard noises from your storage room." He frowned. "Noises?" I nodded. "Yeah, maybe an animal got in." The irony almost made me laugh out loud. An animal did get in. 2 of them. Mark walked toward the storage room, flashlight in hand. I followed him halfway, just enough to see his reaction. The second he pulled the door handle and realized it was locked from the outside, his face changed. "Why's this locked?" he muttered. That's when I said, in my calmest voice ever, maybe whoever's inside didn't want to be found. He turned to look at me, confused, suspicious. Then he heard it, a muffled voice from inside. Claire's voice. He froze. "Claire?" And then another one. "Ethan." Wait. Mark, it's not what it looks like. The silence after that was unreal. You could practically hear the air leave Mark's lungs. His flashlight trembled in his hand, the beam shaking against the door. I leaned against the wall, arms crossed. "Oh, I think it's exactly what it looks like." He didn't say a word. Just unlocked the latch, yanked open the door, and there they were, half-dressed, panicking, blinking like idiots in the beam of his flashlight. Claire started crying. Ethan started explaining. But Mark? He just stood there, silent, terrifyingly silent. And me? I smiled again. Not the sweet kind, but the kind that says you deserve this. That was the moment I knew. This wasn't going to end quietly. You know that silence before a storm hits? Yeah, that's what it felt like. The kind that makes your stomach twist because, something's about to break. Mark stood there, staring at them like a man who just realized his whole world was fake. Claire tried to grab his arm, sobbing. "Mark, please, I can explain." "Explain what?" That her lipstick was on my husband's shirt. That they were fixing the shelves half naked in the dark? Ethan stammered. Lena, baby, it's not what it looks like, I swear. I cut him off. Then tell me, Ethan, what does it look like? Because from where I'm standing, it looks like my husband and my neighbor are allergic to clothes and self-respect. Mark's jaw clenched. His eyes, that quiet fury. I'd never seen anything like it. He didn't shout, didn't move. He just said, Claire, get dressed. His voice was low, cold, the kind that sends shivers down your spine. Ethan tried to speak again, but I wasn't listening anymore. I just walked inside, grabbed my phone, and hit record. If they wanted drama, I was about to give them a full episode. Smile for the camera, I said. Let's show the world what neighborly love really looks like. Claire screamed, Lena, don't, please. Ethan lunged toward me, but Mark stepped in front of him, stopped him dead. You don't touch her, he warned. And just like that, Ethan's confidence vanished. For a few seconds, none of us said anything. You could hear the rain start outside, soft at first, then harder. Like even the weather knew this was about to get ugly. I turned to leave. You know, I said quietly, I thought I'd break down if this day ever came. But I'm fine. I'm better than fine. Ethan called after me. Lena, where are you going? I paused at the door, looked back and smiled. To make sure you remember this night forever. Then I walked out, leaving them all in that cold, flickering light, trapped between guilt and fear. The rain was pouring by the time I reached my car. My hands were shaking, not from sadness but adrenaline. People think heartbreak makes you weak. No, it sharpens you. It teaches you how far someone can push you before you break. And what happens when you finally do? I sat there for a moment, staring at the reflection of the house in my rearview mirror. The lights flickered from the power I'd cut earlier, and I could still see Mark's truck parked outside. I wondered what was happening inside, but honestly, I didn't care. Ethan's betrayal didn't destroy me. It woke me up. By the time I started the engine, my mind was already working faster than my heartbeat. I knew exactly what I was going to do. I wasn't going to scream. I wasn't going to cry on social media. No. I was going to make sure everyone saw what kind of man Ethan really was, without me saying a single word. The next morning, I walked into our favorite cafe, the one Ethan always took his clients to. Everyone there knew us. I smiled at the barista, ordered my usual, and while waiting, I opened my phone gallery. That little video I recorded outside the storage room? Yeah, I edited it. Just enough to make it clear, not explicit but obvious. Then I sent it to his office group chat. A few minutes later, my phone started buzzing like crazy. Calls, messages, everything. But I didn't pick up. Instead, I sat there, sipping my coffee, watching the chaos unfold. By noon, I got a text from Ethan. Lena, please, take it down. We can fix this. Fix this. The man really thought betrayal could be patched up like a leaky roof. I texted back one word. No. And then I blocked him. For the first time in years, the silence felt peaceful. But what I didn't know was that Ethan wasn't done. He was about to do something that would change everything again. By the next morning, the whole town was buzzing. Small towns love gossip, and this one, oh, it was feasting. Ethan's perfect reputation. The devoted husband, the successful man, shattered overnight. I thought it was over. I thought I could finally breathe. But men like Ethan, they don't accept defeat. They rewrite it. Around noon, my phone rang again, an unknown number. I almost ignored it, but something told me to answer. Lena, the voice said. Calm, familiar, but off. It's me, Ethan. I just want to talk, he continued. Please, one last time. I almost laughed. Talk? About what? How you ruined 2 marriages in one afternoon. He sighed. You've made your point. Everyone knows. You got your revenge. But now it's gone too far. People are calling me at work. My boss wants me suspended. I stayed quiet, letting him drown in his own words. Lena, listen, he said softer this time. You think I'm the only one to blame. Claire told me you knew, that you set us up. She said you've been planning this. That stopped me cold. Set them up? The audacity. Oh, so now it's my fault you couldn't keep your zipper up. I snapped. People are starting to believe her, he said quickly. She's telling everyone you're unstable, that you've been harassing her for weeks. Lena, they're twisting everything. For a second, my chest tightened. It wasn't fear, it was fury. Pure, sharp fury. They were trying to flip the script, to make me the villain. Ethan, I said, my voice steady. If you think you can paint me as the crazy wife, go ahead. But remember, I've got proof. And I haven't even posted the full video yet. He went silent. I could almost hear his panic through the phone. You wouldn't, he said finally. Oh, I smiled. You really don't know me anymore. Then I hung up. But as I put my phone down, a chill ran through me, because outside my window, parked across the street, was Ethan's car. And he wasn't alone. I hadn't moved from the window for a good minute. His car engine was still running, headlights slicing through the rain like he was waiting for the courage to come up. Then 3 knocks, slow, heavy, not the kind of knock you ignore. I took a breath, grabbed my phone, and hit record again. I'd learned my lesson. Always have proof. When I opened the door, there he was. Ethan, soaked, wild-eyed, desperate. Lena, please, he said, voice shaking. Can we talk? Just 10 minutes. I folded my arms. You've had 5 years to talk, Ethan. 10 minutes won't save you now. He looked around nervously, like someone might be watching. People are turning on me. Claire's husband filed a report. My boss suspended me. I am losing everything. And, I said flatly, you think I care? He took a step closer. I messed up, I know. But you're not innocent either, Lena. You trapped us. Recorded us. That's illegal. I laughed, a sharp sound that made him flinch. Illegal? Ethan, cheating on your wife in her own house should be illegal. His jaw tightened. The desperation in his eyes turned into something else, something darker. You think you've won, he said quietly. But I know you, Lena. You won't stop. You'll destroy me completely. And when you do, you'll destroy yourself too. That made me pause, not because I believed him, but because for a split second, I saw what he was trying to do. Guilt. The same trick he'd used for years. I smiled. You know what the difference is now, Ethan? I'm not scared of losing you. I'm scared of wasting another second on you. He stared at me for a long moment, like he didn't recognize the woman standing in front of him. Then, without a word, he turned and walked back to his car. But something felt off. The next morning, my neighbor texted me a picture. Ethan's car, still parked outside, empty. No sign of him anywhere. When I saw that photo, something inside me shifted. Ethan's car, still parked in the same spot as last night. Rainwater pooling on the hood, windows fogged, driver's seat empty. At first, I thought maybe he'd gone for a walk or crashed at a friend's place. But as the hours passed and the sun started to rise, I knew something wasn't right. By noon, curiosity got the best of me. I walked outside, the air cold and thick with silence. The car door was unlocked. Inside, his phone, his wallet, even his wedding ring sitting in the cup holder. That part made me stop breathing for a second. Ethan never took that ring off. Not even when he was lying. I looked around. No footprints, no sign of him. Just that eerie, heavy quiet that makes you feel like someone's watching. Then my phone buzzed. Unknown number. When I answered, no one spoke. Just breathing, slow, steady, chilling. Ethan, I said. Nothing. Just a faint click. Then the line went dead. I tried to laugh it off, but my hands wouldn't stop shaking. I went back inside, locked the door, and sat down on the couch. My mind was racing. Was this another game? Some kind of twisted revenge? Later that evening, the police showed up. Turns out Mark, Claire's husband, had reported Ethan missing. They asked me questions when I'd last seen him, if we'd argued, if I knew where he could have gone. I told them everything. The affair, the video, the fight, everything except the call. Because deep down, I wasn't sure what scared me more. The idea that Ethan had disappeared, or that he might still be out there, watching. That night I couldn't sleep. Every creak in the house made me jump. Every shadow looked like him. And then, just past midnight, I heard it, a faint knock. 3 times, slow, just like before. The moment I heard those 3 knocks, every muscle in my body froze. Same rhythm, same pause between each hit. Like déjà vu, except this time I wasn't angry. I was terrified. I stood still, staring at the door. My heart was pounding so hard it felt like the sound might give me away. Another knock, louder. "Ethan?" I whispered. Nothing. I slowly reached for my phone, hit record, and turned the flashlight on. My hands were shaking so bad the beam danced across the walls. Through the peephole I saw nothing, just darkness, no shadow, no shape. But something didn't feel right. Like someone was standing just out of view. I took a deep breath and unlocked the door, like just a crack. "Who's there?" Silence. Then out of nowhere, something slid through the gap in the door and fell to the floor. A folded piece of paper. I shut the door instantly, locked it twice, and just stood there staring at it. My mind screamed, "Don't touch it," but my curiosity won. The paper was damp from the rain, edges crumpled. I unfolded it slowly. 4 words, written in messy, rushed handwriting. "You went too far." No signature. But I knew that handwriting anywhere. Ethan's. I dropped the note. My chest tightened. How? Where had he been? Before I could think, my phone buzzed again. A notification. An unknown number had just posted a new story on social media. The thumbnail froze my blood. It was a video of me, standing outside the storage room that night, laughing, locking the door. He'd somehow flipped everything, made it look like I was the villain. The caption read, "This is what she did to us." Thousands of views, comments, people asking if it was real. I felt the ground shift under me. The revenge I'd planned so carefully was turning into something else, something out of control. For the first time I realized maybe Ethan hadn't disappeared. Maybe he was still playing the game, and I was already losing. The rain hadn't stopped all night. It was relentless, drumming against the roof, matching the rapid beat of my heart. I sat in the dark, monitors flickering with the cameras I had set up. Every creak of the floor, every rustle outside made me jump, but I didn't move. Not yet. Then, around 2 a.m., one of the cameras pinged. Motion detected in the back alley behind my house. I leaned in closer. There, just for a second, a shadow. Moving fast, careful, like it knew exactly where I couldn't see. I grabbed my coat, flashlight in hand, and stepped outside. Rain drenched me immediately, but I didn't care. Not anymore. The alley was silent, empty, except for a small piece of paper pinned under a rock. My stomach twisted as I picked it up. It read, "Stop now, or everything you love disappears." Ethan, the handwriting, the threat, the arrogance. The man thought he could intimidate me again, but this time I wasn't scared. I snapped a picture and sent it to Mark. He was already on his way. Together we would find out where he was hiding, or at least who was helping him. Then I noticed something else. Footprints, small, muddy, running toward the old warehouse at the edge of town. My pulse raced. Could he really be hiding there? After everything? I ran back to my car, heart pounding like a drum. Mark was waiting at the corner, flashlight in hand. "You found something?" he asked, his voice tight. I handed him the paper and pointed toward the warehouse. "Follow me. And keep your phone recording." We moved slowly, silently, hearts in our throats. Every shadow seemed alive, every noise exaggerated in the darkness. And then, a light flicked on in the warehouse. Just for a second, enough for us to see. A car parked inside, Ethan's. I froze. Mark whispered, "He's here. Lena, he's not leaving without a fight." I swallowed hard, gripping the flashlight like a weapon. All the fear, the rage, the adrenaline, it boiled inside me. This was it, the confrontation. And deep down, I knew, once we stepped inside, nothing would ever be the same. Claire's eyes widened when she realized she couldn't run from what was happening. Ethan's panic was contagious, but my focus was sharp. I raised my phone, letting the camera capture every angle. Their betrayal, their fear, their guilt. "You two thought you could get away with it," I said, voice steady and sharp. "Thought no one would ever find out. But here we are. Everyone's going to see the truth." Ethan sputtered, "Lena, please, you don't have to—" "No," I interrupted. "Everyone deserves to know exactly who you are." I hit the live button on my social media, broadcasting the scene in real time. The camera captured Ethan's wild eyes, Claire's trembling hands, the mess they'd created, both emotionally and physically. The flood of notifications started immediately. Comments, shares, viewers tuning in from everywhere. I could hear the faint sound of the warehouse door opening behind me. Mark was making sure no one interrupted. Claire's face went pale. "Lena, don't do this." "Too late," I said calmly. "Too late for apologies, too late for excuses." Ethan tried to lunge again, but Mark stepped in. I kept the camera rolling, capturing every moment. Their arrogance, their lies, their desperation. Now it was all public. A few minutes in, the chat exploded with reactions. Friends, neighbors, even colleagues from work were watching. The truth was out, and there was nothing they could do. "You've ruined your lives," I said, voice cold. "And maybe, just maybe, this will teach you a lesson about betrayal." Ethan's face twisted in fury and fear, but it didn't matter. The video was live. The proof was undeniable. Claire tried to cover her face, but the damage was done. Her husband would see. The neighbors would see. The world, or at least our small corner of it, would see. I ended the live stream, my hands trembling slightly, but my mind clear. This was only the beginning. I turned to Mark. "Let's make sure this doesn't stop here. They need to understand the consequences of what they did." Mark nodded. "Agreed." As we left the warehouse, I felt a surge of power I hadn't felt in years. Not revenge exactly, but justice. I had reclaimed control, and no one, not Ethan, not Claire, could take it from me. Outside, the storm had cleared. Lightning flashed in the distance, but it was calm now. A strange calm. The war wasn't completely over. But for the first time, I knew I had won a part of it. It was quiet that night, too quiet, the kind of silence that makes your skin crawl. I was in my apartment, checking the cameras for the 100th time when my phone buzzed. A message. "No number saved. You think you've won?" "I'm not done." My stomach tightened. "Ethan." I immediately called Mark. "He's planning something," I whispered, eyes scanning every shadow in my apartment. Mark's voice was calm but firm. "Lock every door. Don't leave. I'll come over. We'll set traps, cameras, whatever we need." By the time he arrived, I had secured every entry point. Windows locked, doors reinforced, and a few cameras hidden around the apartment. The adrenaline was buzzing, and I felt alive. Then we heard it. A faint scratching noise at the front door. Slow, deliberate, calculated. I held my breath. Mark's hand went to the bat at his side. Ethan's voice called out, taunting, "Lena! You can't hide from me forever. I know you're in there." I didn't respond. I stayed hidden in the shadows, watching. He tried the door. It didn't budge. Then the windows, locked, reinforced. He cursed under his breath. Mark whispered, "He's testing us. He wants to scare you." But fear wasn't my reaction. Anger was. Pure, burning anger. I pulled out my phone and hit record again. "If you think this is going to intimidate me, Ethan, think again. Every move you make, every threat, I'm documenting it. Everyone will see the truth." The scratches stopped. The silence that followed was suffocating. And then, the unexpected. A shadow moved across the hallway. Fast, agile. Not Ethan, someone else. Mark tensed. "Who's that?" Before I could answer, the lights flickered, and the world seemed to freeze for a heartbeat. Ethan wasn't just striking back, and he had a plan. And now, we were part of it. I realized in that moment, The game had escalated. This wasn't just about exposing a cheater anymore. This was survival, and I wasn't going down without a fight. The shadow moved quickly, almost too fast to track. My heart raced, but I stayed calm. I had Mark with me, and I had the cameras. Every step counted. "Stop right there!" Mark shouted, swinging the bat toward the figure. The person froze. Then slowly the lights flickered back on, and my blood ran cold. It was Claire. Her face was pale, eyes wide with fear. "Lena, I didn't know he'd do this," she whispered, her voice trembling. I narrowed my eyes. "You didn't know? Or you were helping him?" She flinched. I didn't want it to go this far. He said if I didn't help, I cut her off. He would have done it anyway. And now, thanks to you, we're in this mess together. Ethan's voice came from behind us, calm but dangerous. Lena, always assuming the worst. But look at you, cornered now. And Claire, well, she's just helping me make sure you learn your lesson. I froze for a second, realizing the trap. Claire had been his eyes and ears. Every move I made, every plan I executed, he knew about it. Mark stepped closer. "We can still handle this," he said, his jaw tight. "Don't let him scare you." I nodded, taking a deep breath. "No," I said firmly. "He underestimated me before. He's going to regret it again." Claire swallowed hard, tears forming. "Please, just don't hurt him," she whispered. I turned to her, voice cold. "If you want to survive this, start by telling me everything. Every detail. Now." She hesitated, long enough for Ethan to smirk, realizing his advantage. But I didn't flinch. I didn't back down. Not anymore. The storm outside grew louder, lightning illuminating the warehouse walls and our tense faces. It was time to end the mind games. Time to strip away the lies, the betrayals, and expose everything. Because after tonight, none of them would walk away unscathed. And for the first time, I felt a thrill. Not fear, not anger, but power. The kind that comes from knowing you control the next move. Ethan and his ally had underestimated me. Big mistake. Ethan's panic grew with every notification pinging on my phone. His carefully built life was collapsing in real time, and he could see it. Every betrayal, every lie, every scheme, all exposed to the world. But he wasn't done. Desperation has a way of turning even the smartest people reckless. Suddenly, the warehouse door slammed open. Ethan lunged toward me, wild-eyed, his hands shaking. "This isn't over, Lena. I can fix this." Mark stepped forward, blocking him. "You've lost, Ethan. It's finished." I didn't flinch. My voice was calm, cold, and unyielding. "It's over, Ethan. This is your last chance to walk away. Otherwise, you'll regret it." He hesitated for a split second. That hesitation was all I needed. Claire stepped back, clearly terrified. But I had the upper hand. I calmly pressed a button on my phone, triggering a recorded message of Ethan's voice confessing his lies. Every word, every manipulation, played loud through the warehouse speakers. Ethan froze. His mouth opened, then closed. Panic twisted his face. "You see?" I said, stepping closer. "The world is listening now. There's no escape. No lies, no tricks. Just truth." He tried one last desperate charge, but Mark tackled him to the ground. The impact echoed through the empty warehouse. I held my phone high, recording every moment, his arrogance, his panic, his helplessness, all documented, all public. Breathing heavily, I took a step closer. "You underestimated me, Ethan, always, and that was your biggest mistake." Claire's eyes were wide. She didn't say a word. I didn't need her to. The truth had set everything in motion. Ethan struggled, but it was useless. For the first time, I realized the fear he once instilled in me had flipped. The tables weren't just turned, they were broken. I looked at Mark, and he nodded. Together, we had ensured this would end. Outside, the storm had finally stopped. Lightning flashed once in the distance, illuminating the aftermath of chaos and justice intertwined. Ethan's reign of lies was over, and I finally felt free. Weeks had passed since the warehouse livestream. The chaos, the fear, the adrenaline, it was fading. But the lessons remained, etched into every part of me. I started by reclaiming my home. Every corner, every room became mine again. No shadows lurking, no whispers of betrayal. Just light, air, and the sense of safety I had been craving. Mark visited often, not just as an ally, but as a friend. Together we reviewed everything, making sure Ethan and Claire had no way to cause more damage. He joked sometimes, trying to lighten the mood, and I laughed genuinely for the first time in months. I also returned to my work. At first, it felt strange. Normalcy was foreign. But with every client I helped, every project I completed, I realized how much strength I had regained. I wasn't just surviving anymore. I was thriving, and yet, there was a part of me that remained alert, vigilant. Old habits die hard. Every sound outside, every unexpected knock, made me glance toward the door. Not because I feared, but because I had learned to respect the unpredictability of people like Ethan. One morning, while sipping coffee, my phone buzzed with a notification. A friend had sent me an article about Ethan and Claire. The title read, "Betrayal Exposed, Lessons from a Viral Scandal." I smiled faintly. Their story was everywhere now. Everyone knew. And yet, for the first time, it felt like I was finally free of it. I took a deep breath and leaned back in my chair, letting the sunlight warm my face. The war was over. Justice had been served, and I had reclaimed my life, piece by piece. Still, in the back of my mind, I knew the world was unpredictable. Life could throw challenges, betrayals, and surprises. But now I was ready. I had survived the worst, and no one would ever take control of my story again. I glanced at the camera setup I had left in my home, a reminder, not of fear, but of strength. Sometimes life's darkest moments are the ones that teach you the most. And as I sipped my coffee, I whispered to myself, "This is just the beginning for me." The sun shone through the window, the storm had passed, and I was finally free. Life had settled into a calm rhythm. I was back at work, organizing my life, laughing more than I had in months. Mark stopped by occasionally, a reassuring presence. But I was learning to stand on my own again. Yet even in peace, I couldn't shake the feeling that the storm wasn't completely gone. Old instincts die hard. Every time the doorbell rang unexpectedly, my heart skipped. Every unknown number on my phone made me pause. One late evening, I was going through emails when I noticed a new message in my inbox. No subject, no sender, just one line. "You think this is over? You haven't seen the last of me." I froze. My hands trembled for a brief moment. Then I laughed. That familiar fire sparked in my chest. Ethan. I didn't even need to see his name. The words, the tone, unmistakable. I called Mark immediately. "He's trying something again," I said. Mark's voice was calm. "He's probably just testing the waters." "Don't worry, Lena, you're prepared now." I knew he was right. I had cameras, records, witnesses. I wasn't the same woman he had tried to manipulate. I had survived his games before, and I would do it again if I had to. Still, part of me couldn't ignore the shiver of adrenaline. Someone like Ethan doesn't disappear quietly, and the warning wasn't empty. It was calculated, deliberate. I glanced around my apartment, every door locked, every window secure, every corner prepared. I wasn't afraid, but I was aware. And that awareness gave me power. For the first time, I realized something important. Freedom doesn't mean the past stops existing. It means you've learned to live despite it. I smiled faintly and whispered to myself, "Try all you want. You'll never control me again." Outside, the city lights twinkled in the night, quiet, calm, but deep down, I knew the story wasn't completely over. And for the first time, I welcomed the challenge, because this time, I wasn't just surviving, I was ready for anything. The storm had passed, but the shadow of it lingered, a reminder that the past can knock even when the present feels safe. And I was ready to answer. The city had grown quiet as night settled in. I was alone in my apartment, the hum of the fridge and distant traffic the only sounds. But the feeling that someone was watching never left. It was instinct, one I couldn't ignore. Then the knock came, slow, deliberate, calculated. My heart skipped, but I didn't panic. I knew this was Ethan. I'd been ready for him for months. I grabbed my phone, activating the camera and the live recording. Mark had taught me well. Documentation is power. I cracked the door slightly, peering through the peephole. His face was there, soaked from the evening rain, eyes wild, a mixture of desperation and arrogance I had come to recognize. "Lena!" His voice was low, controlled, trying to mask panic with charm. "We need to talk." I didn't open the door. Instead, I smiled faintly. "We've talked enough, Ethan. Everyone knows. The game is over." He pressed closer, trying to force the door. I didn't budge. "You think you can scare me?" I said, voice steady, almost calm. "Think again. You've underestimated me before. Never again." A tense silence followed. I could feel the adrenaline in the air, thick and suffocating. The storm outside mirrored the tension inside. Then he stepped back, smirk twisting his face. "You think this ends tonight?" "I know it ends tonight," I said, "because I'm not afraid of you anymore. And I won't let you hurt me or anyone else again." For the first time, I saw uncertainty in his eyes. The arrogance cracked, just enough to make me realize how far I had come. I grabbed my coat and keys. "Mark's on his way," I said aloud, letting him know I was prepared. "If you try anything, it's your last mistake." Ethan's face darkened. He realized finally that nothing he did could regain control. Not threats, not manipulation, not fear. As he disappeared into the night, I exhaled slowly, my hands no longer trembling. The danger wasn't fully gone, but the power had shifted irrevocably. I looked out the window, the streets calm now, and whispered to myself. This time I decide the ending. The storm had left its mark, but I had survived, stronger, sharper, unstoppable. And Ethan, he had finally learned, some people can't be controlled. The night was quiet, deceptively calm. I sat in my apartment, reviewing every piece of evidence I had collected. Recordings, messages, the confession from Claire. Each one was a brick in the fortress I had built around myself. Mark checked in over the phone. "Are you ready?" he asked, voice steady but alert. I nodded, though he couldn't see it. "I am. Tonight it ends. No more threats. No more fear." I had a plan, simple, direct, and airtight. Ethan had no idea I had anticipated every one of his moves. Every knock, every note, every message, all of it documented and ready to go public if he stepped over the line again. Then came the text. Short, sharp, unmistakable. "I'm not done, Lena." I smiled faintly. I had expected that. I hit reply. "You're done. Forever?" Moments later, I activated the cameras in key spots around my apartment and set them to broadcast, automatically to a secure cloud. Every angle covered, every potential escape route he might try to use. Mark arrived within the hour. Together, we monitored every movement outside. The rain had stopped, leaving the streets glistening under the streetlights. Then a figure appeared at the corner of the building. Ethan, alone, hesitant, calculating. I didn't flinch. I stayed inside, letting the cameras capture him. Every step he took, every gesture, recorded. I wasn't just defending myself anymore. I was cementing the truth. After 30 tense minutes, he left. No confrontations, no shouting, nothing. Just retreat. And in that moment, I realized the war was truly over. Not because Ethan was gone, but because I had taken control. Every threat, every attempt to intimidate me had been neutralized. I had turned fear into power. I exhaled slowly, letting the weight of the past months leave my shoulders. I glanced at Mark, who nodded with a quiet smile. The storm had passed. The shadow of Ethan's manipulation had finally lifted, and I was free. For the first time in months, I felt it completely. Safety, peace, and the satisfaction of knowing I had not only survived, but triumphed. The past was behind me. The future was mine, and I was ready. The city woke slowly, stretching in the soft glow of morning. Birds chirped, cars hummed in the distance, and for the first time in what felt like forever, I felt the world was mine again. Weeks had passed since Ethan's last threat. The evidence, the recordings, the live stream, all had ensured he could never interfere again. The relief was tangible, but so was the cautious optimism that life could change for the better. I started small. Morning walks without checking behind me. Coffee at the corner cafe without fear. Catching up on work I had neglected. Each simple act felt like reclaiming a part of myself that had been lost. Mark remained a steady presence, not just a protector but a friend, a reminder that loyalty and trust existed in the world. "You've earned this," he said one morning as we watched the sunrise. "No one can take it away." And he was right. I had survived betrayal, manipulation, and fear. I had fought back and won. But the experience had left its mark, a sharper instinct, a deeper awareness of who I was and what I could withstand. I reconnected with friends I had drifted from, shared moments of laughter and relief, and slowly rebuilt a social circle grounded in honesty and support. Life wasn't just returning to normal, it was becoming stronger, more intentional. Yet even in this calm, I couldn't ignore the flicker of awareness that lingered in the back of my mind. Life had a way of testing people, like Ethan, of throwing challenges when you least expect them. But this time, I was ready. I had learned that strength doesn't come from avoiding fear. It comes from confronting it and surviving. And if the past had taught me anything, it was that freedom and vigilance could coexist. I stood by the window that evening, watching the city lights twinkle, reflecting on the months that had nearly broken me. I smiled, faint but real, and whispered to myself, "This is just the beginning of my life, fully mine." The night was calm, the storm long gone, but somewhere in the shadows, life was quietly reminding me that vigilance and courage are lifelong allies, and I was ready for whatever came next. Life had settled into a comfortable rhythm. Work, friends, quiet nights at home, a life I thought I had fought hard to reclaim. Yet there was an unease I couldn't shake, a subtle tension that whispered through the edges of normalcy. It started with a package at my door. Small, plain, no return address. I hesitated before picking it up, every instinct screaming caution. Inside, there was nothing but a single folded note. I unfolded it slowly, eyes scanning the words. "You think it's over. You don't know the half of it. No signature, no clues, just the stark, cold message." I froze. Ethan, no. He had been neutralized. The timing, the handwriting. Something was different. Someone else. Someone connected to the chaos he had left behind. I called Mark immediately. "It's not him," I said, voice steady but tense. "Someone new. Someone from his world. They're testing me. Or warning me." Mark frowned. "Do you want to involve the police or handle this first?" I shook my head. "Not yet. I need to understand who's playing this game before anyone acts." For hours, I replayed every memory, every interaction. Who could it be? Someone close to Ethan? An old accomplice? A friend he had manipulated before? Then it hit me, Claire. Not in the same way she had betrayed us before, but perhaps there were others she had confided in, or who had been silently watching. The air in my apartment felt heavy. I had thought the storm was over, but this was different. Calculated, deliberate, subtle. A whisper of shadows. A reminder that the past is never fully gone. I set up additional cameras, rechecked my locks, and prepared a plan, just in case. For the first time since Ethan, the threat wasn't immediate, but it was tangible, and I knew I had to be ready. Looking out the window, city lights glimmering below, I whispered to myself, "If they want a war, they'll find someone ready." And I'm not backing down. The storm might have passed, but the threat of danger had reappeared. Quiet, subtle, waiting, and I was prepared. The city hummed with quiet life, but I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. Every sound, every shadow seemed amplified, like the world itself was holding its breath. The note had left me with more questions than answers. Whoever sent it wasn't just taunting me, they were calculating, patient and aware, too aware. I spent the day retracing every connection Ethan had left behind. Claire's friends, colleagues, and anyone who had been involved in his schemes. Slowly, a pattern started to emerge. There was one name that kept appearing in whispered conversations, private messages and old files. A man Ethan had called the Fixer. Someone who handled problems, made people disappear, and covered tracks. He had been invisible in all our previous encounters, but now, through small traces, I could feel his presence. Mark leaned over my shoulder, reviewing a spreadsheet of connections. "This is serious," he said. "The Fixer isn't someone you confront casually." I nodded. "I know, but we can't hide either. Whoever this is, they're waiting for us to make a mistake. And we won't." The thought of Ethan had once terrified me, but now I realized that fear had sharpened me. Every instinct, every move, every precaution I had learned from him was now a tool against this new threat. By nightfall, I had organized a system. Cameras, encrypted messages, hidden paths and fail-safes. I wasn't just waiting for the Fixer to act. I was preparing to anticipate. Then, a flicker on one of the cameras caught my eye. A figure slipping past the alley near my apartment. Fast, precise, almost invisible. My pulse spiked. This was no ordinary stalker. This was someone trained, someone aware. I grabbed my phone. "Mark," I said, voice steady, "I think we just found our first move. And it's not Ethan." He glanced at the screen, tension in his jaw. "You're right. This isn't over. Not even close." I took a deep breath, feeling the familiar surge of adrenaline. The storm wasn't behind me anymore. It had shifted, evolved, and I realized for the first time that surviving this wouldn't just require courage. It would require cunning, strategy, and every lesson Ethan had forced me to learn. I whispered to myself, eyes narrowing. "Bring it on. I'm ready." The unseen enemy had made its first move, and I was prepared to counter it. No mistakes, no hesitation. The shadow from the alley had shaken me, but I refused to panic. This was the Fixer, Ethan's ghost, someone meticulous, someone dangerous. I and Mark devised a plan. Cameras, tracking devices, and decoy signals. Every angle covered, every escape route blocked. We decided to lure him into a trap. I posted a cryptic social media story. A hint of vulnerability, a hint of routine, enough to draw attention without revealing too much. Hours later, I noticed a black van parked 2 blocks away. The driver remained inside. I felt my stomach tighten. The Fixer had taken the bait. "Mark," I whispered, voice low, "he's here." He nodded, clutching his gear. "We're ready." I led the Fixer closer, monitoring every movement on the cameras. When he stepped into the narrow alley behind my building, we cut the lights and engaged the tracking systems. The Fixer hesitated. Someone had anticipated him, and I was ready. The first strike wasn't physical, it was psychological. He realized he wasn't invisible anymore. The tables were shifting. The Fixer moved faster than expected, but my preparations worked. Cameras tracked his every step. Decoy signals and hidden traps kept him from approaching me directly. Mark whispered, "He's good, but he's starting to get nervous." I took a deep breath. He underestimated me. That's all it takes. A sudden movement caught my eye. He tried to slip around the building, avoid the cameras. I triggered lights, alarms, and recorded every motion. Panic began to show. He realized he wasn't controlling the game anymore. And that fear was the advantage I had been waiting for. I called out, my voice amplified through the speakers. "I see you. You can't hide." The world isn't yours to manipulate anymore. The fixer froze, cornered, vulnerable, and for the first time, I felt complete control. I confronted him directly. The alley was empty except for him and the cameras. He smirked at first, trying to mask panic. "You think you can stop me?" he said, voice steady but trembling. "I don't think." "I know," I said, stepping closer. "You've manipulated, hidden, and lied. But every move you make has been tracked, every path recorded. You have nowhere to go." He lunged suddenly, desperate. Mark tackled him to the ground. I hit record, documenting the final moments. The fixer struggled, cursed, tried to bargain. "You don't understand." "I understand perfectly," I said, voice calm. "You underestimated me, just like Ethan did. And now your reign is over." Police sirens approached in the distance. Mark had alerted them in advance. Relief washed over me. For the first time, I realized the nightmare was ending. The fixer was arrested. Ethan's legacy of manipulation ended. Claire and others faced the consequences. I watched from my apartment window as the authorities drove him away. The storm of fear, adrenaline, and chaos had finally passed. Mark stood beside me. "You did it," he said. I nodded, tears in my eyes. "We did it. I survived, I fought, and I won. Life returned to normal. Work, friends, laughter, and quiet nights. But I was stronger now, wiser, prepared for anything. I reflected on the months that had tested me, pushed me to my limits, and forged a version of myself I barely recognized. Fierce, resilient, and unafraid. The past was behind me. The future was mine. And as I looked out at the city lights, I whispered to myself, "This is my life, my story, and no one will ever control it again." The storm was over. Freedom, justice, and peace were finally mine.